Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you what is fluorescence. I'm going to tell you what is fluorescence. Now guys, right here I have such fluorescence images. Now in these fluorescent images you can see the many chemicals like things and other things that are glowing. And if you have turned on a black light ever in your life and have kept some fluorescent thing under it, you can see that some things that are fluorescent glow under it. And the fluorescent things glow under it because I'm going to just tell you that reason right now. First of all, if you need to understand fluorescence, you need to understand about the electromagnetic spectrum. So as you have read or studied in school in 11th or 12th class, we teach electromagnetic spectrum. So this one right there, these are X-rays. X-rays, they are also gamma rays. They are of higher energy. And this part of the spectrum, the radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible, and then the ultraviolet. So this radio wave, infrared, and microwave parts have a longer wavelength of light. That means the photon of the radio wave is very weak because its wavelength is much more than that of visible UV or X-ray light. And the X-ray and gamma rays photons are at the much higher energy state, and they have much higher energy than the photon of radio and microwave. Things simply fluoresce when an photon of high energy, suppose this is UV, ultraviolet, under which most of the things fluoresce at 400 nanometers. This is the wavelength of the photons. This photon, right there. And when it will hit this atom right here with an electron, there are two orbitals. Now this electron is at the lowest energy state, closest to the nucleus, and when the photon will hit it, it will absorb it, and it will have energy of that photon and jump to the higher ground from here to here. After jumping to the higher orbital, now the electron will store energy for some time. It is in milliseconds or in nanoseconds, and then it will re-emit the photon and get back to its original state. So it will emit a photon. It can be any wavelength, green, yellow, red, or even blue. When things fluoresce, they emit photons of higher energy, but it needs to be more than 400 nanometers, because if it emits a photon, some of its energy will be lost to heat. That's why the energy of this photon that is emitted is less than 400, more than 400 nanometers. So now if this is fluorescence, then what is phosphorescence? Phosphorescence is related to fluorescence. That's why I decided to teach you what is phosphorescence in this video. Now in your childhood, you may have played with glow-in-the-dark toys. Personally, I have lot. And these moons and stars there. And when you simply just turn off the light, they glow. And now the reason being glowing is phosphorescence. Now what is phosphorescence? First of all, we need to understand what is phosphorescence. It's kind of way that electrons can store energy, store light energy without any battery or stuff going on. So first of all, what happens is a photon of light which is at higher energy, considering a UV photon which is at 400 nanometers. Again, example, we'll take this. And now when a photon, this 400 nanometer UV photon, is this electron that is present in the atom, and it's in lowest energy state, orbital right here, then it will increase its energy and go to its highest energy state. That depends upon the atom. And now it will go to the high energy state and store this energy much longer, like fluorescence did. Like fluorescence is like 1 or 2 nanoseconds, and it re-emits the photon. But now the photon is stored for a longer time. And when the photon is stored for a longer time, after the atom releases the photon, the electron will come back to its original position, releasing a photon of light. It is similar as fluorescence, but phosphorescence is like much more longer time. Like if a photon hits right there, it can store its energy for a few milliseconds. But fluorescence happens in only 1 or 2 seconds. It doesn't stay for long, but phosphorescence, they stay for long. So this is how the glow-in-the-dark things can store light. I think you have learned a lot from this video about fluorescence, phosphorescence, and simply things that can glow under ultraviolet light. If you have used ultraviolet in your life, comment down below on this YouTube video. If you like this video, like to the video and subscribe to our channel to see more scientific videos. So if you want to first of all experiment with fluorescence, the most common thing that you can use is highlighter. Right now I'm standing in the dark and you cannot see anything. But see this, when I bring this ultraviolet light near it, this thing starts to glow. Right there I have written all the letters, stars, and these are highlighters. Now these are glowing right there. Right on my desk you can see these highlighter tips. And all these things right there are glowing. They're fluorescing very brightly. I think you cannot see on the camera, but in real life they are fluorescing very good. So this is an example of fluorescence. You can try it yourself by a UV light and highlighter at home.